Right now, as you're watching this, your mind is probably doing something. Maybe it's judging these words, planning what you'll do after this video, or wondering if this will actually help you. Here's the thing, that restless voice in your head never stops talking, does it? It's been your constant companion since you woke up today, and it'll be there when you go to sleep tonight. But what if I told you that this mental chatter, this endless stream of worry, anger, and wanting, isn't actually you? What if everything you think is making you miserable can be traced back to just 3 simple patterns? Patterns so basic that once you see them clearly, your entire relationship with your own mind will change forever. You're about to discover something that monks have known for centuries, but I'm going to explain it in a way that makes perfect sense for your everyday life. Are you ready to meet the real source of your mental suffering? The first pattern that creates mental suffering is our endless wanting. Think about your last hour. How many times did your mind say, "I want this," or "I need that"? Maybe you wanted your coffee to taste better, or needed that person to text you back, or wished the traffic would move faster. This constant craving never stops. Even when you get what you want, the mind immediately finds something else to chase. It's like being hungry but never feeling full, no matter how much you eat. The second pattern is our habit of pushing away what we don't like. Your mind works like a security guard that never takes a break. It constantly scans for threats, problems, and annoyances. When something uncomfortable appears, physical pain, an awkward conversation, or even just boredom, your mind immediately tries to get rid of it. But here's the strange thing. The more you fight against discomfort, the stronger it becomes. It's like trying to push a beach ball underwater. The harder you push, the more violently it bounces back up. The third pattern is perhaps the most subtle but powerful. Not seeing things as they really are. Your mind creates stories about everything. It takes a simple event and turns it into a complex drama. Someone doesn't reply to your message, and suddenly your mind writes an entire screenplay about why they must be angry with you. You make one mistake at work, and your inner voice declares you're completely incompetent. These stories feel completely real, but they're just stories. The actual facts are usually much simpler and less dramatic. Here's what makes these 3 patterns so destructive. They work together like a team. You want something you don't have, which makes you dislike your current situation, which creates stories about why your life isn't good enough. Then you want to escape those bad feelings, which makes you dislike them even more, which creates more stories about how you should feel better by now. It becomes an endless loop that feeds on itself. But there's hope in understanding this cycle. When you start to notice these patterns in real time, something magical happens. You begin to see your thoughts and feelings as temporary visitors rather than permanent residents. That angry thought, it's just passing through. That anxious feeling, it'll be gone soon if you don't feed it with more stories. That desperate want, you can acknowledge it without being controlled by it. The moment you recognize that your mind is caught in wanting, rejecting, or storytelling, you've already taken the first step toward freedom. You don't need to stop these patterns completely. That's impossible and would just create more struggle. Instead, you learn to see them clearly, like watching clouds pass across the sky. Some clouds are dark and stormy, others are light and fluffy, but they all pass eventually if you don't grab onto them and try to keep them forever. Now that you understand where mental suffering comes from, let's talk about the most powerful antidote: complete acceptance of what is. This isn't about giving up or becoming passive. This is about learning to work with reality instead of fighting against it every single day. Picture a river flowing downstream. When a rock falls into the river, the water doesn't try to push it out or complain about its presence. The water simply flows around it, finding the path of least resistance. This is the kind of acceptance we're talking about. Not weak surrender, but intelligent adaptation to what's actually happening right now. When someone criticizes you, your natural reaction is probably to defend yourself or criticize them back. But what if you could receive both praise and blame with the same calm attitude? What if neither could shake your inner peace? This balance isn't about not caring. It's about not being controlled by external opinions. You can listen to feedback without letting it define your worth as a person. Life has a way of teaching us through consequences. Sometimes you make choices that lead to difficult situations. The wisdom here isn't to avoid all consequences, but to accept them without adding extra drama. When you mess up, you can learn from it without beating yourself up. When good things happen, you can enjoy them without clinging desperately to make them permanent. This acceptance of natural cause and effect brings tremendous peace. The hardest part of acceptance is letting go of your need to control everything around you. You spend so much energy trying to manage outcomes, manipulate situations, and force life to match your preferences. But true freedom comes when you realize that your real power lies not in controlling external events, but in choosing how you respond to them. You can influence many things, but ultimately, you must surrender to the flow of life itself. This kind of deep acceptance transforms your relationship with difficulty. Instead of seeing problems as enemies to defeat, you start seeing them as part of life's natural rhythm. Some days are sunny, some are stormy. Some conversations go well, others don't. Some plans work out, others fall apart. When you stop demanding that life be different from what it is, you finally have the energy to engage with it skillfully. Acceptance is powerful, but it requires a special kind of attention. You need to develop what we might call conscious awareness, the ability to see clearly what's happening in your mind and body right now, without getting swept away by it. There are 4 main areas where you can practice this aware attention. First, pay attention to your body. Notice when your shoulders are tense, when your breathing is shallow, or when you're holding stress in your jaw. Your body is constantly giving you information about your mental state, but most people ignore these signals until they become overwhelming. When you learn to listen to your body's whispers, you don't have to wait for it to scream. Second, watch your feelings as they arise and pass away. Emotions are like weather patterns. They come, they peak, and they naturally fade if you don't feed them with excessive thinking. You can feel anger without becoming an angry person. You can experience sadness without believing you'll never be happy again. The key is observing these emotional states without identifying with them completely. Third, notice your thoughts without believing every single one. Your mind produces thousands of thoughts each day, and most of them are just mental noise. You don't have to argue with every thought or analyze its deeper meaning. Sometimes, the most powerful response to a worried thought is simply, "That's interesting, mind. Thank you for sharing." Then you can choose whether to engage with it or let it pass by. Fourth, become aware of objects and situations around you with fresh eyes. Most of the time, you're not really seeing what's in front of you. You're seeing your memories, expectations, and judgments about what's there. But when you look at something with genuine curiosity, as if seeing it for the first time, the world becomes much more interesting and less stressful. Here's a simple way to practice this awareness while walking. Instead of rushing to your destination lost in thought, try paying attention to each step. Feel your feet touching the ground. Notice the rhythm of your movement. Observe the sights and sounds around you without labeling them as good or bad. This isn't about walking slowly. It's about being present while you walk, whatever your pace. You can bring the same quality of attention to eating. Instead of swallowing your food while scrolling through your phone, try tasting each bite. Notice the texture, temperature, and flavors. Pay attention to when you feel satisfied. This simple practice can transform not just your relationship with food, but your ability to be present in any activity throughout your day. Mindful awareness opens your heart, but there's a specific quality of warmth that needs to be cultivated deliberately. This is about developing genuine care for yourself and others, even when it's difficult. It's not fake positivity or pretending everything is fine. It's real tenderness that grows stronger with practice. Start with yourself. Most people are incredibly harsh in their self-talk. You probably speak to yourself in ways you would never speak to a good friend. When you make a mistake, instead of attacking yourself with criticism, try offering the same kindness you give to someone you care about. Say things like, "It's okay, everyone makes mistakes," or "You're learning, and that's what matters." This isn't about lowering your standards. It's about motivating yourself through encouragement rather than punishment. The real test of this loving attitude comes when dealing with difficult people. You know, those individuals who push your buttons, who seem to bring out the worst in you. Instead of immediately writing them off or getting defensive, try a different approach. Send them silent wishes for happiness and peace. It sounds simple, but this practice can completely change how you feel around challenging personalities. You're not excusing bad behavior. You're freeing yourself from carrying resentment. Here's something profound. Every person you meet is struggling with something. The rude cashier might be dealing with personal problems you know nothing about. The aggressive driver might be rushing to handle a family emergency. The critical coworker might be insecure about their own performance. When you remember that everyone is fighting battles you can't see, it becomes easier to respond with patience instead of irritation. One of the most powerful ways to strengthen your own inner peace is through acts of giving that expect nothing in return. This could be as simple as letting someone cut in line, helping carry groceries, or listening fully when someone needs to talk. When you give freely without keeping score, something shifts inside you. You stop feeling like the world owes you something, and you start feeling grateful for opportunities to contribute. But here's what's interesting. The person who benefits most from your kindness is usually you. When you practice genuine care for others, your own heart becomes softer and more resilient. You stop taking things so personally because you're focused outward instead of constantly protecting your ego. Problems that seem huge become manageable when you're thinking about how to help rather than how to defend yourself. Loving kindness opens the heart, but true freedom requires understanding the difference between love and clinging. This is about learning to care deeply while holding everything lightly. It's the art of enjoying life without desperately trying to make good moments last forever or pushing away difficult ones. The teaching of life's constant change reveals why attachment causes so much pain. Everything you love, your relationships, your health, your possessions, even your current problems, is temporary. When you try to freeze moments in time or prevent natural changes from happening, you create unnecessary struggle. It's like trying to hold water in your hands. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it slips away. Living with voluntary simplicity doesn't mean becoming a monk or giving away everything you own. It means recognizing when your possessions start owning you instead. Notice how much mental energy you spend thinking about what you want to buy, what you need to maintain, or what you're afraid to lose. When you choose to live with less, you often discover you need much less than you thought to be genuinely happy. Here's something that might surprise you. The idea of a fixed, permanent self is largely an illusion. Who you were 5 years ago is different from who you are now, and who you'll be in 5 years will be different again. Your thoughts, feelings, preferences, and even your core beliefs can change over time. When you stop trying to defend a rigid identity and allow yourself to grow and evolve naturally, life becomes much more interesting and less stressful. The practice of giving without expecting anything back is one of the most powerful ways to weaken the grip of attachment. When you help someone or offer a gift with no strings attached, you train your mind to let go gracefully. You don't give to get something in return, to look good, or to create obligation. You give simply because giving feels good and because you can. This kind of generous spirit extends beyond material things. You can give your attention without expecting others to pay attention back. You can offer forgiveness without requiring an apology. You can love people without needing them to love you in exactly the same way. This doesn't make you a pushover. It makes you free from the exhausting job of trying to control how others respond to your kindness. Liberation from attachment creates space for something beautiful, the natural development of character qualities that bring lasting peace. These aren't rules imposed from outside. They're principles that emerge when your mind becomes clear and your heart becomes open. There are 5 basic guidelines that protect both yourself and others from harm. Don't intentionally hurt living beings. Don't take what isn't freely given. Don't use sexuality in ways that cause suffering. Don't speak falsely or harmfully. Don't cloud your mind with substances that prevent clear thinking. These aren't about perfection. They're about direction. Each time you choose not to cause harm, you strengthen your capacity for inner peace. Patience becomes possible when you stop demanding that life move at your preferred speed. Traffic jams, slow internet, delayed responses. These small frustrations can either train your mind in tolerance or feed your habit of irritation. The person who learns to wait calmly for small things develops the strength to handle major challenges with grace. Think of patience as a muscle that gets stronger every time you choose not to react with annoyance. The words you speak have tremendous power to heal or harm. Before speaking, ask yourself 3 questions. Is it true? Is it helpful? Is it kind? You don't have to say everything you think. Sometimes the most loving response is silence. Sometimes the most honest thing you can say is, I don't know. When you speak carefully, people learn to trust your words because they know you don't waste them on gossip, complaints, or empty promises. Generosity isn't just about money or material gifts. You can be generous with your time, attention, forgiveness, and encouragement. When someone makes a mistake, you can be generous with understanding. When someone succeeds, you can be generous with celebration. The practice of giving breaks down the walls between yourself and others. It reminds you that your well-being and their well-being are connected in ways you might not always see. Virtue provides a foundation, but life will still present challenges that test your understanding. The ancient teaching about 8 worldly conditions shows how external circumstances constantly shift between opposite poles. You experience gain and loss, pleasure and pain, praise and blame, fame and disgrace. Most people get swept away by these changes, celebrating when things go well and falling apart when they don't. The secret is learning to find stability in the middle of these storms. When you receive unexpected money, notice the excitement without getting carried away by dreams of what you'll buy. When you lose something valuable, feel the disappointment without adding stories about how unfair life is. Both the gain and the loss are temporary experiences passing through your life. Your deeper peace doesn't have to rise and fall with every external change. Even in the midst of chaos, there's always something happening right now that you can work with. Your breath is still flowing. Your heart is still beating. Your mind is still capable of awareness. When everything around you feels out of control, you can return to these simple present moment realities. They're always available, always reliable, always here. This isn't about pretending problems don't exist. It's about finding your center before you try to solve them. Here's a profound way to think about difficulties. They're like mud that can become beautiful flowers. Every painful experience contains the raw material for wisdom, compassion, and strength. The person who has never struggled often lacks empathy for others who are suffering. The person who has never failed sometimes becomes judgmental toward those who make mistakes. Your difficulties aren't punishments. They're part of what makes you capable of understanding and helping others. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" try asking, "How can this teach me something valuable?" A relationship conflict might teach you about communication. A health problem might teach you about priorities. A financial setback might teach you about what really matters. When you approach problems as puzzles to solve rather than enemies to fight, your whole relationship with difficulty changes. You become curious instead of bitter, creative instead of defeated. The ability to transform difficulties is precious, but all these teachings remain just interesting ideas unless you can weave them into the fabric of your ordinary day. The goal isn't to live perfectly. It's to find balance and to treat every single moment as an opportunity to practice what you've learned. The path of balance means avoiding the extremes that create suffering. You don't need to become a perfect person who never gets angry or never wants anything. You also don't need to indulge every impulse or emotion that arises. The middle way is about finding what works sustainably for your actual life. You can enjoy pleasures without being controlled by them. You can feel pain without drowning in it. You can work toward goals without being destroyed if they don't happen exactly as planned. Throughout your day, there are countless small moments where you can pause and reconnect with awareness. While brushing your teeth, you can notice the sensations instead of planning your day. While waiting in line, you can observe your surroundings instead of getting lost in mental complaints. While talking to someone, you can really listen instead of preparing what you'll say next. These tiny moments of presence accumulate and gradually change how you experience life. The most ordinary activities can become doorways to peace when you approach them with the right attitude. Washing dishes can be a meditation on the temporary nature of all things. Commuting can be a practice in patience and acceptance. Cooking can be an expression of care for yourself and others. Work can be an opportunity to contribute something meaningful to the world. Even conflicts and problems can be chances to practice everything you've learned about understanding, forgiveness, and skillful response. The real test of wisdom isn't how calm you feel during meditation or how inspired you get from spiritual books. It's how you handle traffic jams, difficult conversations, unexpected bills, and all the other ordinary challenges that make up actual human life. When you can find moments of genuine appreciation and calm in the middle of normal chaos, you know the teachings are becoming part of who you are. Your spiritual practice isn't separate from your regular life. It is your regular life, approached with awareness and care. You've just discovered 8 powerful ways to transform your relationship with life itself. These aren't just beautiful ideas. They're practical tools that can change everything about how you experience each day. The question isn't whether these teachings work, but whether you'll actually use them. Start small. Pick just one practice that spoke to you today. Maybe it's noticing your breath when you feel stressed, or speaking more kindly to yourself when you make mistakes. You don't need to master everything at once. Even tiny changes can create ripples that transform your entire life. If these teachings helped you find even a moment of peace today, imagine what they could do for someone else who's struggling. Share this video with a friend who needs to hear these words. Subscribe to join our community of people who are choosing wisdom over worry, presence over stress. Your journey to lasting calm and positivity starts right now with whatever choice you make next. Will you scroll away and forget what you learned, or will you take one small step toward the peace you deserve? The path is here. All you have to do is begin.